Thanks for watching News 12 on your side.
From the station that's on your side, News 12, first at 5, continues.
We reported 39-year-old John Belote missing and last seen June 28th. Since then, we haven't gotten any updates until now. Aiken County Coroner now telling us today he presumptively identified Belote's remains as the same remains found in a shallow grave last week in Windsor, South Carolina. This was the scene today near where the remains were found Friday on Wendy Lane in Windsor. Now, 3 men are now facing charges in connection to moving human remains: Thomas Ginn, Donald Britton, and Cody Wooten. John Belote's family also fear that the human remains belong to him. According to an incident report on June 30th, John's daughter, Sierra Belote, called deputies saying that she last spoke with her father on June 28th after he told her he got into an argument with Donald Britton. She heard from family and friends that John was going to see his ex-girlfriend, Kelsey Ledford, or go and confront Kelsey's father, Donald Britton, out there in Windsor. No one had heard from him since then. The warrant states that Thomas Ginn and Donald Britton moved the remains with the help of 2 other people from another unmarked shallow grave on Windsor Road to a similar grave there on Wendy Lane. Now, right now, 3 men are charged in connection to those remains.
It hurt. It hurts to think about my dad that way. Because no matter what he had done or no matter what had went down, he definitely did not deserve to die like that.
And coming up tonight, all new on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we're breaking down the timeline since Belote went missing and hearing more from his family. Switching gears now, here's a live look several
go on the west side of town. We're improving the weather right now in Augusta, but watch out for the storm south of I-20. Another update coming up in just about 10 minutes.
Thanks, Riley. What is Augusta's 5-year plan? In about 30 minutes, the city's Planning and Development Department is hosting a public meeting to lay that out for us. The report, titled Envision Augusta, will include plans for housing, traffic, and community development. Our Craig Allison will be there and will break down what we learned from that tonight at 11 o'clock. New at 5:30, a desperate plea to make sure your family is safe even in your own home. Tonight, leaders across Georgia are asking everyone to carry Narcan to prevent drug overdose deaths. Now, it's a life-saving drug that can reverse the effects of a drug overdose almost instantly. But when you need it, it has to be nearby. It may seem severe, but Atlanta News First reporter Abby Casores found out the number of opioid overdoses here in Georgia are causing officials to ask us to step up.
Police and paramedics are often first on scene for an overdose call.
This would be the first thing I grab out of the car.
Q Garcia with the Conyers Police Department says their officers carry an overdose kit with a nasal spray version of naloxone.
Most of the times, it's more than just that first dose.
Crews are receiving more opioid overdose calls. Those calls went up 10% in the last year. It's important that that opioid overdose antidote is administered as quickly as possible, which is why crews are hoping that the people making those calls will have it on them. The state's Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Disabilities is asking businesses like hotels, bars, and restaurants to keep naloxone in their first aid kits and for people to learn how to administer it and keep it on them.
People overdose in places that you wouldn't expect. It's not like it's kind of an old image of someone using under a bridge.
Cassandra Price, the department's director, says naloxone can give someone a much-needed chance to get off of drugs. Currently, more than 23 million Americans are in long-term recovery from drug use.
The truth is, if someone passes away from an overdose, then we can't help them get to a path of recovery.
Naloxone can cost roughly $50, and you have to make sure you know how to use it. The state is giving the police departments like Conyers PD the kits to hand out to citizens if they can make sure they know how to use it.
Hey, this person's overdosing. They're in the gas station parking lot. Every day you pull into the gas station, want to pump your gas, not expecting to see somebody overdose. So it's everywhere.
In Conyers, I'm Abby Casores.
Thanks, Abby. School starts for Aiken students in just 6 days. It's hard to believe, but Highland Springs Middle students still don't know where their first day is. Their website says another inspection on the brand new school is set for Monday. Here's what the school looked like today, with crews still on the property getting things ready. On the school's website, it says that construction crews are working nonstop in hopes of having the new school ready in time for the first day of classes. Late last week, there was an inspection of the campus, and the Post says that the results were favorable, but that there was still work to be done. Just ahead, all new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock, our Taylor Barton takes a look at the status of the school. Take a look at this. Edgefield County K-9 Brody has new body armor thanks to a nonprofit donation. This is his bullet and stab protective vest thanks to a sponsored fundraiser hosted by Paint Your Pet in Aiken. It has the embroidered message gifted by Augusta Kennel Club. Vested K9, the nonprofit who provided the vest, has given more than 5,000 vests to K9s in all 50 states. That's pretty cool there. Well, big news for Aiken. A major sports competition will be hosted there for the next 2 years. We'll have more on that coming up after the break. Riley?
And the storms just impacted us here in Augusta, now diving off towards the east. We'll give you an update on radar and a look ahead at the rest of the week's forecast just after the break.
Time and temp.
This just in, more than 1,000 customers are dealing with a power outage. It's impacting the Willow Oak Village area. Georgia Power is reporting the outages after a car accident. They say the power should be back up and running by 6:30 tonight. And Riley, we're starting to see those storms widespread over our area, moving into the South Carolina region, right?
Absolutely will. They're now diving south of Augusta, so impacting areas mainly I-20 below average for us. But watch out for those storms popping up each day this weekend.
Thanks, Riley. On the heels of the USC Aiken eventing team's national championship win, more big news for Aiken as a whole. The Intercollegiate Eventing Championship will be in Aiken at Stableview for the next couple of years. News 12's Audrey Dickherber takes us to Stableview.
Aiken has a history of love for horses and the riding community.
You can see the farm and see the town.
For Stableview, having top-notch talent on their property is nothing new.
And we have like all sorts of riders from beginners to the top of the sport, like Olympic riders will come and train before a big competition.
For the next 2 years, a spotlight from the horse community will be right here in Aiken.
Stableview always hosts 5 recognized horse trials throughout the year. But then at our May horse trial for the next 2 years, we'll also be host to these special championships for these middle school, high school, and college riders.
This will not only bring more people to Aiken,
I fell in love with the area when I came,
but will also allow people to fall in love with the town, which is centered around horses.
Like downtown Aiken's so cool, and it's like a very horsey town and stuff, and it's just like kind of a town designed around the equestrians.
Audrey Dickherber, on your side.
And definitely some exciting news for Aiken, and fitting since USC Aiken is home of the Pacers.
How many of these charging cables and bricks do you have lying around the house and you wonder, what does that go to? I'm Jamie Tucker, coming up with a simple solution so you will never, ever lose another charger.
First alert rate.
More tech comes more chargers and cables.
Kroger, fresh for everyone.
More tech comes more chargers and cables to keep track of. Our consumer tech reporter Jamie Tucker found a solution to keep chargers together, and it could save you both time and storage space.
The thing about these charging cables and bricks is they all look alike, but they only fit the gadget they came with. So you might end up with something like this. What do they go to? You might end up trying the same charging cable in multiple gadgets and never find the right one. That's what happened with this Bluetooth speaker. It's a great speaker, but since I misplaced the charging cable, I'm either going to have to fork over money to buy a new charger or dispose of the speaker. Here's the secret to keeping them all together. QR codes. You can pick up a pack of QR code stickers like these, and they have apps to read and label those stickers. Here's how it works. Place one of the stickers on the charging brick and scan it with the app. Then enter what the charger goes to. In this case, it's a Bluetooth speaker. Then take a photo of the gadget. You can do this with every charger in your house. If the charger ever gets mixed up with the others, just scan the QR code with the app to find it. You can use these QR code stickers on anything you need to keep track of. They're helpful when moving and finding the right storage bins when you're looking for Christmas decorations. Just label the sticker and take a photo of what's inside. Now, you can make your own QR codes with your smartphone, of course, but a pack of these stickers, only about $15. It's a great way to use tech to keep track of your tech. That's What the Tech. I'm Jamie Tucker.
And the QR code stickers work with both iPhones and Android devices. On a hot summer day during rush hour, the last thing you want is for your car to break down. To avoid your car ending up in the shop, there's a few things that you can do to prevent and catch issues before it's too late. There's three main parts that can be impacted during the summer heat: the cooling system, the battery, and of course the engine.
Your temperature light will obviously, the gauge will go up and down, and you need to pay attention to that. You can see smoke. You start to see poor gas mileage.
And the best way to prevent any of these problems: top off fluids in your car, check your tire pressure, and don't forget about the interior of your car as well. Clemson University is currently hosting the 2023 National Association of Plant Breeders Conference. A major focus is on Georgia and South Carolina's peach crop, which was severely impacted by a late season frost. This ties into the conference's theme of Southern hospitality through food and agriculture, and why it's important to keep track of when peaches bloom.
They bloom too early, bloom a month earlier than normal, which meant that the fruits were developed and more advanced by the time the late frost hit. And that's why the Georgia had a 90% of production wiped out, and South Carolina has around 50% because we were less developed.
The university and event organizers say their goal is to envision the future of plant breeding in South Carolina through innovation and collaboration. Summer camps give young athletes the chance to hone in on their skills, fall in love with the game, and have fun along the way. This afternoon, News 12 Sports Director Dan Booth stopped by a youth basketball camp over at Westside High School. Dan.
In order to inspire and empower the next generation of young basketball players here in Augusta, this week Westside head basketball coach Jerry Hunter is hosting his first youth basketball camp. Whether it's learning the game for the first time or discovering ways to take their play on the court to the next level, Westside's state championship winning mentality is being passed on to all the young ballers in attendance. One of the interesting things about this camp is the fact these kids are learning from a three-time state championship winning head coach, which could be helpful down the line.
It's amazing because they don't realize it, and they're probably not gonna realize until they get older who this man is, and they're gonna realize, oh my gosh, that's cool, like that's amazing. Because a lot of people, they're not three-time state champion as a coach or as players or as anything.
The kids I spoke with say they were having fun, and it clearly showed on the court because their fast break execution was looking pretty solid. The final day of the first annual Jerry Hunter Basketball Academy is tomorrow at Westside.
All right, thanks for that, Dan. We do have a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect for central Burke County. This does include Vidette, just south of Waynesboro along Highway 25, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and potentially even some pea-sized hail with this. Another update on radar and the forecast just after the break.
Well, do you remember the viral video from last month showing a crack in the beam of the Fury 325 roller coaster at Carowinds? Well, now Carowinds appears to be doing test runs on that ride. You can see here an empty car was seen running on the track last night. This past Thursday, a replacement beam arrived and has been installed. And here's a live look at the Fury coaster, courtesy of Carowinds. Now, Carowinds said that they would do at least 500 test runs before it reopens to the public. The North Carolina Department of Labor says that they won't issue an opening certificate until they are 100% comfortable doing that. The question here, would you ride the Fury after it was fixed, Riley?
I think so. I mean, it was still running just fine when it had a little crack. I mean,
well,
it gave a little.
I don't know if running just
kind
fine
of throws a little wild card to the ride, a little extra thrill.
So, okay. Well, if you were riding it, you probably wouldn't think that.
No, I know you're scared of Space Mountain, so I don't see you riding the Fury. Maybe?
I'm not a roller coaster person. Looking at that makes me terrified. Knowing that there is a crack in a beam makes it even worse.
That is a very big drop. I used to go to Carowinds all the time as a kid. I don't remember that roller coaster, so that must be pretty new.
But the thing is that I'm from Ohio. We had Cedar Point up there, and I had only been to Cedar Point one time, and it was for the water park. I wasn't going on the roller coasters up there.
Those water slides, I feel like, could be just as scary.
They
the
are.
Tubes, when you're going fast, water's hitting your face, you can't feel like you're breathing.
The dark ones, too.
Yeah.
You can't see anything in
I
there.
feel like I'm more terrified from water slides than I am from roller coasters.
Like terrified to go over the edge or something like that.
Hey, we got some pretty West Ranch. It's a Southwest salad, and it's not for the faint of flavor. Woo, saucy! Zaxby's. the station that's on your side. This is News 12 at 6 o'clock.
A daughter is claiming human remains uncovered in Windsor belonged to her father.
Fortunately, he was never able to leave this town or have the life he wanted.
We have the latest on the investigation after 3 men were arrested in Aiken for the removal of remains. Plus, the future of Highland Springs Middle School up in the air the week before school is set to start. We'll check in on all those inspections. But first, we're tracking storm chances tonight. A lot of the radar lighting up tonight. Riley, what can you tell us?
Yeah, Laura, one of the first of the week in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thanks, Riley. Our top story tonight, 3 men arrested and charged for the destruction, desecration, or removal of human remains. According to the Aiken County Sheriff's Office, the remains were discovered last Friday afternoon in a very shallow grave on Wendy Lane in Windsor. Today, detention center records show 30-year-old Thomas Gwynn, 51-year-old Donald Britton, and 37-year-old Cody Wooten are all charged in connection to the removal of human remains. But the question tonight is, who is the victim found in that grave? Our Will Rio live in the newsroom for us. So the victim we know hasn't been officially ID'd, but the coroner does have an idea of who that is.
Yeah, that's right. The coroner tells me that he has a presumptive identification and that they have an idea of who this may be, but he's waiting for positive identification before officially releasing a name. The family of John Belote, the man that we reported missing back in June, says it's him. Sierra Belote says it's always been a bumpy road for her 39-year-old father, John Belote.
My father, he always struggled to kind of get his life together, if that makes sense. He was incarcerated about 90% of his life, but I do know 100% that he wanted to get out of this town. Unfortunately, he was never able to leave this town or have the life he wanted.
According to an incident report on June 30th, Sierra called deputies saying she last spoke with her father, John, on June 28th, after he told her he got into an argument with Donald Britton. Since Sierra last spoke with her father, she heard from other family and friends that John was going to either see his ex-girlfriend, Kelsey Ledford, or going to confront Kelsey's father, Donald Britton, in Windsor.
He had a bad feeling, and he went out there and no one had heard from him.
No one heard from John after that. Arrest warrants from Aiken County show almost 3 weeks later, on July 14th, human remains were found in a shallow grave at this home on Wendy Lane in Windsor, South Carolina. The warrant states Thomas Ginn and Donald Britton moved the remains with the help of 2 other people from another unmarked shallow grave on Windsor Road to a similar grave on Wendy Lane. As the remains were being moved, they were torn into 2 pieces and treated in a disrespectful manner, according to authorities.
It hurt. It hurts to think about my dad that way. Because no matter what he had done or no matter what had went down, he definitely did not deserve to die like that.
Belote says she doesn't know how her father died, but the coroner told her he was burned.
I just keep thinking about his last few moments and what he had to go through at the end.
Now, according to jail records, on Monday, Donald Britton remains in jail without bond. Thomas Gwynn was granted a $15,000 bond on Tuesday. And then this morning, Cody Wooten was granted a $10,000 personal recognizance bond. Right now, we don't know why. Please believe Cody Wooten is connected to all of this, but he faces the same charge as the other 2 men.
So what did his daughter say about 2 of those suspects getting bond and some pretty serious charges?
Yeah, the family told me that it was infuriating to see that 2 men were able to get out of jail on these charges, especially one of them on a personal recognizance bond. They say it really feels like a slap in the face here.
Okay, we know you'll keep us posted about this case, Will. Thank you. A 12-year-old driver is blamed for a 4-car pileup that sent 1 person to the hospital. Georgia Highway Patrol says it happened in the intersection of Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and Milledgeville Road in Augusta. Augusta Fire posted these photos after the crash, and you can see some of the damage to some of those cars. It's still not clear how the 12-year-old was able to get the car, but police say there was at least 1 injury. Highway Patrol says no one was hurt. No agencies have announced any charges yet. 6 days until Aiken County students go back to class, but Highland Springs Middle School parents still don't know exactly where they're dropping their students off. If the school isn't ready, students will need to go to a backup school. Our News 12 drone flew over Highland Springs today, and you can see pallets and trailers lining the outside of the building. Our Taylor Martin at the construction site with more on the future of the school.
It's been frustrating as a parent.
For Highland Springs parents like Melanie Turner, it's a waiting game, one that may not be over until right before their students' first day of school.
The fact that they're doing like a virtual open house, and then they're just doing the hope and pray that it opens on Tuesday, it's a little concerning as a parent.
And it's not just parents, it's the students too.
She's a little concerned about where am I going to go? Am I going to get lunch every day? Where am I going to get lunch from? So that's, it's apprehension.
On their website, the latest update from Principal Page today says, I will keep students and families updated on the construction progress and new information regarding Highland Springs. We recognize that Highland Springs students and families are eager to find out if they will be able to start school on our beautiful new campus. And I'm eagerly awaiting that answer and being able to share that good news.
It's not like anybody really is going to know what's going on, so it's a stressful time for students.
Today, crews are still making progress on getting the school ready for reinspection on Monday, July 24th, but Monday's reinspection date gives parents less than 24 hours to plan and prepare for their students' first day of school.
It's already an emotional time, and then you add on the stress of that, it is concerning as a parent.
For now, Melinda hopes to learn more at Friday's virtual orientation, and like other parents, she's anxiously waiting on the future of Highland Springs.
I know they're doing the best they can. They're trying to get it open, and so, you kind of have to roll with the punches, but as a parent, I would have liked to have seen them find a way that they could get these students in person to meet their teachers.
Yeah, a lot of kids pretty lost even if they do open on time. Okay, happening now, Augusta City leaders talking about the next 5 years of what Augusta will look like. They say Richmond County is growing at a very steady rate. We're projected to see 5,000 more people move here every year, but a number of projects aimed to help with this expansion are still in progress. Coming up on News 12 at 11, we'll break down where the city stands on all of these projects for the next 5 years. Still to come on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we hit the skies, or at least pretend to, for this week's one-take trips.
And we are keeping an eye on some very strong thunderstorms across the CS array today that will continue into this evening. Remember, a severe thunderstorm warning in effect still for central Burke County. Update coming up just after the break.
All right, thank you for that, Riley. Well, do you or maybe the kiddos love planes? Georgia is home to the Robins Air Force Base, and right outside is the Museum of Aviation. It's packed full of interactive displays suited for all ages. Our Will Volk headed down to Warner Robins for this week's one-tank trip.
It's one of the largest air museums out there.
It's a little bit of a hidden jewel here in the southeast.
Arthur Sullivan curates the Museum of Aviation. It's home to about 90 real planes scattered across 4 hangars and the field outside. Many of these planes saw real combat, and this one set the world airspeed record.
There's something for everybody, from little kids all the way up to adults and veterans who served.
Not only can you look at planes, you can also try flying them too.
You do get the feel for it, you really do.
Okay, it's not a real plane, but Kim Rubery says these simulators are pretty close.
We've had some pilots who said, oh my goodness, this is pretty good. This is pretty accurate.
I suited up and hopped into the cockpit of an F-15 simulator. Surprisingly, I did pretty good, except for one moment. We're gonna crash! We're gonna crash! No! But then I discovered you can fly through trees. So I took back off and landed at the airport without a scratch on it.
For someone that just hopped in here, got into your flight suit, and hopped into the airplane, you picked it up pretty good.
Between all the planes and the simulators, here it's more than 50 acres of aviation. Feeling the need for speed? Will Volk on your side.
Okay, that's pretty cool. It is about 2.5 hours away, but you can visit the museum for free. And if you want to try the simulator, you need to set that up in advance, but we'll have a link to do that on our website. The summer heat forcing some of our high school coaches to go back to the drawing board to figure out just how they're going to get all the practices they need in this week. We have that story coming up next.
Our big thing is getting you back to you.
Breaking news, the South Carolina Department of Corrections has arrested 2 former officers for misconduct at the McCormick Correctional Institution. Jada James of Edgefield and Shirley Craig Hart are charged with first-degree sexual misconduct with an inmate. Jada James allegedly had an inappropriate relationship with an inmate sometime between January to December of last year, and she resigned before charges were filed. Today, temperatures start in the mid-80s, and with the humidity, easily push those feels-like temps into the hundreds. Look at these heat indices, just scorching. For student athletes out on the field, they are more vulnerable to heat-related illnesses. Earlier this morning, organized team activities over at ARC were moved up an hour because of the extreme heat. As our Alyssa Lyons shows us, they are not the only school making changes because of the heat.
Folks, if you got any sports camps going on, try to get them in early or very late into the evening because heat exhaustion, heat stroke can happen very quickly.
It's a little hot outside. Hotter when this is what you wear in practice.
I honestly see heat-related illness issues every single day. Once we step into practice, what I'm looking for is, especially the heavier guys on my O-line, my D-line, I'm looking for excessive sweating, any disorientation, any throwing up, perhaps, any dehydration.
Before that, they have to decide on whether they can even hit the field.
Prior to practice, I have to take the wet bulb glow thermometer or rely on heat index as far as whether it's too hot to practice, what are the recommendations for that practice time.
The GHSA has guidelines based on its reading.
So this is ambient temperature.
It does a measurement of a combination of the heat with the humidity. It's almost kind of mixes in with the heat index.
It's a sliding scale.
I did end up restricting their practice times because, especially this week, the heat index and the wet bulb was reading way too high for them to practice at their normal time.
Pretty neat to get an inside look at how they figure all of that. And when it's as hot outside as it is right now, the GHSA requires there is a 20-minute rest period for breaks taken throughout practice.
On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
Summer camps give young athletes the chance to hone their skills, fall in love with the game, and have fun at the same time. This week, Westside head basketball coach Jerry Hunter is hosting his first youth basketball camp. Whether it's learning the game for the first time or discovering ways to make their play on the court to the next level, Westside state championship winning mentality is being passed on to all the young ballers in attendance. One of these interesting things about this camp is the fact that these kids are learning from a 3-time state championship winning head coach, his coaching staff, and a couple of recent Westside alums who know a thing or two about winning on Georgia's biggest stage.
It's amazing because they don't realize it, and they're probably not gonna realize as they get older who this man is, and they're gonna realize, oh my gosh, that's cool. Like, that's amazing because a lot of people, they're not 3-time state champion as a coach or as players or as anything.
The final day of the first annual Jerry Hunter Basketball Academy is tomorrow at Westside. Shifting gears back to football, South Aiken quarterback Terrence Smith Jr. announced on Twitter he's committing to play college ball for the University of Connecticut. UConn's getting a player who's accounted for just over 3,000 total yards of offense through the air and on the ground during his junior season.
All right, thanks, Dan. Some key deadlines coming up for hundreds of thousands of South Carolinians eligible for food assistance programs. The first of these deadlines comes up at the end of the week. It affects people who have had their SNAP benefits stolen from them. If you think that's happened to you, you have until Friday to do that at dss.sc.gov. The other deadline is coming up next Monday. It's for families with children eligible to receive pandemic EBT or PEBT cards. Those are the approximately 500,000 students who qualified for free or reduced price meals last school year. DSS asking families to verify their mailing address by August 10th at dss.sc.gov. The Meriwether Monument in North Augusta still a hot topic surrounding the controversy around it. Now, the North Augusta City Council has passed a resolution to add educational panels near the monument instead of taking the monument down. The monument honors Thomas McKee Meriwether, the one white man who lost his life in the Hamburg massacre, where 7 African American men were slaughtered.
Final day of the first annual Jerry Hunter Basketball Academy is tomorrow at Westside. Shifting gears back to football, South Aiken quarterback Terrence Smith Jr. announced on Twitter he's committing to play college ball for the University of Connecticut. UConn's getting a player who's accounted for just over 3,000 total yards of offense through the air and on the ground during his junior season.
All right, thanks, Dan. Some key deadlines coming up for hundreds of thousands of South Carolinians eligible for food assistance programs. The first of these deadlines comes up at the end of the week. It affects people who have had their SNAP benefits stolen from them. If you think that's happened to you, you have until Friday to do that at dss.sc.gov. The other deadline is coming up next Monday. It's for families with children eligible to receive pandemic EBT or PEBT cards. Those are the approximately 500,000 students who qualified for free or reduced priced meals last school year. DSS asking families to verify their mailing address by August 10th at dss.sc.gov. The Meriwether Monument in North Augusta still a hot topic surrounding the controversy around it. Now, the North Augusta City Council has passed a resolution to add educational panels near the monument instead of taking the monument down. The monument honors Thomas McKee Meriwether, the one white man who lost his life in the Hamburg massacre, where 7 African American men were slaughtered. Mayor Britton Williams says he does not know an exact timeline for when these panels will be put up, but you should expect to see them in the next couple of months. Meanwhile, plaques of Jefferson Davis still on the 5th Street Bridge. Last year in November, county commissioners voted to rename the bridge and take down the plaque commemorating Confederate States President Jefferson Davis almost 9 months ago. No changes have been made. At last check, the lawsuit filed from the Sons of Confederate Veterans to block the removal is still standing. The filing from December says the group seeks a permanent injunction blocking those changes.
Well, we are still looking at strong to severe thunderstorms in the southern CSRA. Places like Emmanuel, Jenkins, Screven, and even Burke County it's going to be in the hot zone for the next hour. Now look at radar in that forecast coming up.
You're watching News 12 on your side.
I'm Chip Lewis with Augusta Medicare Specialist. The Medicare enrollment process can be overwhelming. Let us take that burden off your shoulders. We're local and we're here to help. Don't wait till you're 65 to call. Are64.com.
Have you been looking?
RV, a Blue Compass RV company.
All right, what do we got? Looks like 64 yards to the pin. About 64 mile per hour winds. Dude, there's no wind. Hand me my 64-degree wedge. What's in with you in 64? Are you 64.com?
We've got a lot of news coming up. Big changes coming to Netflix, the streaming service ending their basic plan. What it could mean for your ad-free subscription. That and more news tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Well, for us here in Augusta, the storms have already passed off towards our south and east, but we are still looking at some strong to borderline severe thunderstorms across most of our southern counties. I would not be surprised if this is our next storm near Swainsboro that does go severe. Just a special weather statement on it right now, but really have seen it grow a good bit over the last couple of scans. This is the only severe thunderstorm warning we have currently right now. That's for southeastern Burke County, for places like Sardis, near Girard as well, and that's going to stay in effect until 7 p.m. But this one right over downtown Millen, they're forming quick, folks, so make sure you are staying safe with these storms south of Augusta the rest of this evening. We'll continue that chance for a few strong storms the next few days.
All right, our next update comes at 7 o'clock over on NBC. Then we'll see you back here for more news at 11.